Well, hello, City Point. It's Pastor Mike. Time for the weekly vlog. Yep, it's Friday, going into the weekend. Man, what a great week. Our week prayer meetings this week have just been awesome. And we've been putting them on Periscope, and that's been real interesting. And because, it opens it up to people who can't be here. It also brings people who like people with ill intent and have posted some tacky things on there, but that's okay. We're just going to keep going and keep moving. And I believe, I just believe God is using it. And the prayer meetings themselves, can I just take a minute and talk to you about these prayer meetings? They're based out of Psalm 27:4. Where we're not coming together for the purpose of asking God, to bless us or to do something for us or, touch uncle and aunt and touch my mommy, my daddy. Not that any of those prayer requests are wrong, and not that we shouldn't be praying for mom and dad and so on. You get my idea here. But this prayer meetings have been about seeking God, based out of Psalm 27:4, that says, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, and that one thing I will seek after." And I think it's what's happening is God's breaking this Martha thing off of us. In the Gospels, Mary and Martha were preparing a meal for Jesus because Jesus was in their house, and the Bible says Martha Martha was careful and troubled about many things. In other words, in her serving and bringing supper to the Lord, which was a great thing. I mean, wouldn't it be an awesome thing to have supper with Jesus? I love to cook. I love to prepare meals. I would love to cook a meal for Jesus and just sit down with him and sup with him and share with him, and there's a purpose behind this story, is that Martha the Bible says, was cumbered about with much serving. She was over serving. Her focus was in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing. Here Jesus was in the house, but she was so busy working for Jesus, she was not spending any time with Jesus. And I think that's the plight of many of us, but especially those of us who are in ministry, that I frankly spend so much time working for God that I don't spend enough time with God. And so, in that encumbrance, what happens is you get careful and troubled. The word careful there is the King James word for our word worried. You just get worried over things. You get wearied and worried. And when you're cumbered about with too much serving, and you neglect your closet, and you neglect your times of intimacy with the Lord, it starts wearing on you. It starts showing on you. Your attitude goes south, and even your praying can go south. Because when she did finally go talk to the Lord, which let's call that praying, when she did finally go approach the Lord, who was in her house, already seated in her living room, and she was running about the kitchen and everywhere else trying to get the house ready, the meal ready, and all of this ready so Jesus could sit down to eat with him. And yet she had neglected him and went about all of this serving. And then she finally goes to talk to the Lord, but she's not there to really talk to him and entreat him for him, or seek him for him. She's complaining to him. And she's talking about Mary, who she feels like has abandoned her because Mary wasn't careful and troubled alongside of her, that Mary had chosen some different path. The Bible says Mary sat at Jesus' feet and listened to his word. And so, those are the two positions we'll tend to take in life and in ministry and in service to God. You get careful and troubled and encumbered about with much serving, And then you get gripey and grouchy and complainy and all like whiny, and like, Lord, don't you see what they're doing to me? And don't you see what they're doing? And, and all of that mess. And you go to the Lord, and that's not really a prayer. That's not a good way to pray, is to go to the Lord and say, God, look at what they're doing, and how come I'm not doing it? Hey, man, yeah. But I'm just describing like me when I get careful and troubled about much serving, when I get over serving, when I get out of balance and I've neglected the most important part, to sit at Jesus' feet. And so that's what we've been doing for now 2 weeks, is coming together, sitting at Jesus' feet, and just going after him. And it's just been a powerful time. It's just been a really encouraging time. God's dealt with things in our life and bringing freedom to us in so many areas. He's brought so much freedom to me as I've acknowledged, especially things that I've just put my hand to, that I didn't get directives from him. I just did things for the sake that, well, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to approach this, and this is how we're going to fix this, and this is how we're going to do this. And I didn't get that in prayer on my face and let God, wait on God and let God direct me. I just came up with some ideas and came up with a plan and came up with a strategy, and then we implemented it. And, I have some great people here in this church that serve me and that will make happen the things that I want to happen. And believe me, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that there are people here who are following me and who are watching me and taking my lead. And yet I realize I've been going at this wrong, and I've repented before my leaders. I stood Tuesday night in a leaders meeting and asked them to forgive me because of all the plans I've implemented and all the burdens that I've put on people without really seeking and getting the heart of God. And see, it's freeing us up. It's freeing me up. I've acknowledged my flesh and my own energies and how I've strived and strove for this all in my own strength. And then I'm getting freed up, and my heart is getting free to go after God. And I'm starting to hear God whisper and give me directives. And one of those directives was last week, where I heard God say it's time to prepare the bride for war. It's time to call the church to war. And we declared War Sunday. And so I've got my camos, my fatigues, and I'm coming Sunday, and I'm asking everybody who will to dress military style. And it's not to get all freaky, and don't worry, we're not turning into some strange cult and everything, but it's to make a point that God's calling his bride to war. He's calling his bride to take their place and pull down strongholds and against all the powers that are warring against the church. And so that's what we're doing. I don't know. After I did it, I thought this was really strange. I've never done anything like this. And I'm being honest with you, I haven't. And I hope you don't think I'm losing my grip, but something's got to shift. Something's got to change. And see, that's what, going back to our prayer meetings this week, I'm seeing leaders, people who have been around for years and decades, leaders in this church who God's really transforming their hearts. He's freeing us up from things that we've been carrying, things that we've been hiding, things that we've been just denying, things that we've just been doing without really going after God, seeking God's hand instead of his face, and asking God to do something, move something, intervene in something, but not really going after God and getting transformed. It's just that we want God to change something, but don't worry about me, I'm okay. And now we're going after God, and God is changing us. And you say, well, what does that mean? It means we're going after God for God. We're going to minister to the Lord. And before we minister to people, we're going to minister to the Lord. And when you minister to people, and you spend your time with your focus on people, what usually happens is, you can minister to people and lose the touch of God on your life, because you have forsaken place with God. And so I'm calling you back. I'm calling you to get your priorities straight, get your heart straight, get your life straight, get your closet in its proper place where you go there first, not last. Where God's your first choice, not your last chance. Where we go after God with intention and we put all of it out in front of him first and say, God, what do you want? Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so that's what it is. And Sunday we're going to go to war over our families, over our city, over our church, over our marriages. We're going to go to war over our children, over our community, over our schools. We're going to go to war over the things that are really vital for this day and this hour. And so get your camos out. Come on out Sunday morning. Join us. We'll be praying tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And I invite you to come and join us. And it's just a time again where we're just seeking the heart of the Father. One thing have I desired of the Lord, and that one thing I will seek after, and that's to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire of him in his temple. So God bless you. Love you guys. Appreciate you so much. And I just believe God is moving in a very, very special way right now. And I want you to position yourself for what God is doing in your heart and your life, because revival is here.